My name is Felix Michel, and I'm a journalist and coder developer, and I'm currently working for Tageswoche, that's a Basel-based newspaper. And today I'm actually here to talk about data and design in journalism. This presentation is online. I can send you the link later on. And go away. And so first, a little start about me. I'm a linguist by education. So like that's the only thing I really studied is like languages, but like the natural languages, and I studied a lot of them: English, Spanish, French, Arab, like really a lot, but I've never used them. It's like English. And I'm a self-taught developer, coder, and yeah, it's more like I started like with 18 years ago developing some websites, and then it got more and more, but like I'm still quite a hacky coder, less hacky than before, but I'm getting better at it. And actually I'm a journalist by accident, so I never studied journalism. I studied translation, and there were journalists in the same school. Now I always thought of them like, yeah, these are the guys that don't really are able to write, and we are the guys that really can write, the translators, because the journalists always have like opinions and stuff, but so it was more like an accident. I was a teacher, a translator, and then I thought like, well, what else? And then I decided I could start journalism. So here I am talking about journalism, although I'm not a journalist. It's also kind of fun to talk about journalism. And I was searching for a definition, what is journalism? And I found that one on the American Press Institute. Journalism is the activity of gathering, assessing, creating, and presenting news and information. And I thought like, well, okay, that's interesting, because if you take all these steps, oh no, that's wrong. Then you can say like, okay, gather, that's something you also do in like this data field. So you data retrieval through APIs or web scraping. Assess, that would mean more or less analyzing the data. And create and present, these two are not so different, so that's like the difficult part, but I made two of it. So to visualize the data, design a web experience, and present online publication on the web or tweets or making ofs. So I used 3 examples of my work, and I used these steps: gather, assess, create, present, to talk about these examples. It's like real life examples, because I'm a journalist. I'm always like publishing stuff. I'm not like a researcher, so you have a lot of stuff to look at. One project is sea level rise. Okay, that's already like this journalistic part, because sea level is not always rising, but in the title you already say it, it's rising. I did a Google fellowship at Correctiv, that's a German research center. And when I applied for that fellowship, and then he told me it's about sea level, I was so excited, because I'm a diver, I love swimming, I love the sea. I was like, wow, that's amazing, I can work on sea level, I can work on something about sea. But then when I arrived in Berlin, it's not that he said that, it was like the editor-in-chief, but he was more like, yeah, I want to make sea level rise great again. I want to make like this big story everybody's going to look at. And it was not like, okay, so it's not really about the problem, it's more like about publicity and making it big, making it a scandal. And throughout the project there always was a little bit the problem that he was so much about making it big and bigger and better and everything. But let's start about this project, this sea level rise. We used the data of the seafarers, so like some quite archaic data, because they used it to navigate through to a port, and it's really important data. And this thing you can see there, that's a tide gauge, and that's measuring sea level. That's something humans did for about like 300 years, measuring sea level around the world. Some stations, they did it really like 200 years ago, and other stations they did it. So it started like to collecting the data, and my first start was the University of Hawaii, and there they had a web interface, and then I could quite easily get all the data. It was not like an API, it was more like web scraping, and then I had all the data together, started analyzing it, and I thought like, well, I really want to go on the smallest level. So I took like the hourly tidal data, so that was a lot, and I thought like, wow, it's really great to have a lot of data, because he wanted to make it big and bigger. And so I had like this hourly data, and I realized, well, it's totally useless, because I also wanted to go like further back like 100 years, and then I had like 100 years of hourly data, and it was really big, like my whole data set, and I couldn't see anything, because tidal data, it goes up and down, and the hourly one, it goes up and down, and you can't see any patterns. So then I used my Python scripts, and I started to take it out a little bit, so from the hourly data to weekly data to monthly data, and then I had annual data, and realized, okay, why didn't I like start with the annual data? And then I realized, well, Hawaii is great, but it's only like 230 stations. But again, he wanted to make it really great and big, so I needed more stations. And then I was researching, talking to researchers in Australia, and then finally I came to this strange service called Permanent Service of Mean Sea Level. They're based in Liverpool, in the UK, and they're really not, they have like a website from the 80s a little bit, and they're collecting a lot of data from all over the world, and they have this huge database, and nobody really knows about it, but it's huge. It's like 1,500 stations, it's annual data, and it's amazing. And so this is the data. So I had this data from this permanent service of mean sea level, and this is the station in Manila, and you can already see the problem of this data, that the data is incomplete. So maybe here, sorry for that there is no axis, but here down should be the years, and I think like Manila started about in the 40s or 50s, and then you can see like this is not like only 1 year, it's like 10 years, or not 10 years, like 5 years no data, and then here again like 10 years no data, and then they have data again, and that's a pattern you have a lot in this data set. So maybe you have a station and they have only data for 2 years, and then I don't know what happened. I didn't really research in every station, but they I don't know, something went wrong, or they moved it, or they lost the station. So to have like a good data set, we thought like, okay, we take the annual means, if there are like 70% are present, then we take the station, and also if there's no error flag on it. And like that we had a worldwide picture. Like we didn't go for like 90%, because the aim was really to cover the whole world. So that was like two things to consider. And then we started mapping it, creating an animation, and then later on also telling the story. But first, when we mapped it, we had that actually should be an animation. Then we just go about here. When we mapped it, so you can see the green dots here. There, the sea level is going up. No, the sea level is going down. So the land is going up. And here also in Scandinavia, the sea level is going down. So when we started analyzing, we had like, oh damn, it's not sea level rise. And I was like tempted to just hide this fact and tell him like, yeah, it's going up everywhere. And they was like, no, but that's huge. It's going up here and here, like the land. Sorry, like sea level is going down here and here. And then I told that the editor-in-chief, and he wasn't really angry, so I was happy about that. And then it was more like, okay, well that's interesting. And then we realized, yeah, actually that's interesting. So that's already a story. Why is the land going up and the sea level going down? And then we could start researching this, and it's because the glaciers are melting, the land is becoming less heavy, and then the land is rising. So maybe the sea level is rising too, but the sea level is not rising as fast as the land. And it's actually a huge problem. So suddenly here, like in Scandinavia, you have your house close to the shore, and then it's not close to the shore anymore, but you have more land. And now that land that belongs to me, or to like, suddenly there's so much more land available, and well, that's also a problem, of course, but that's a really, it gave us a whole new story that there is actually also land rise, and not only sea level rise. Well, the story is still called sea level rise, though. What happened? So mapping the data was really a great way to actually assess. So by creating something, we could assess something else, that on the map that the whole picture is different. And then the editor-in-chief again, he was like, well, and I really want an animation, that's so important. I need an animation, but you can't see it because my gift doesn't work. But I can try it here.
It worked.
Oh, it worked. Okay, so the animation part after the analysis was really huge for him, and then we tried bubbles, we tried bars, and then at the end it's quite small, but it's triangles. So you have triangles going up and triangles going down.
Okay.
And then it was not only because at the end we were like a team of about 10 journalists from all over the world, and it wasn't only about this like, okay, this data explorer, but we created a storytelling where we could talk about all the stories, because it was a story about Manila, it was a story about Argentina, it was a story about France and Scandinavia, and to get to that, we had this. That's so mean.
No.
So we had this storytelling where you have here this animation, and it goes from 1985 to 2016, I think, if I updated the data. That's not. And you can see that it's going up here at the East Coast, and it's really going up in Asia. But then you have these places where it's also the land is rising really strong, and where you have these changes. And then, yeah, here again Manila, but also Manila is difficult because Manila is so heavy, the city. So you also have like some kind of land subsidence. So it's not only the sea level, but well, you can't really see that in the data, but you have that in the article, that it's also about land subsidence. It's not only about sea level rise, but then again, it's journalism, and you don't really care if everything is so true that you're talking about. So it's more important like to send the message, sea level rise, it's rising, look at it, look at Manila, it's crazy. But then it's not only about sea level, that one is going up. And so we had here the start in Manila, and then we were flying to Scandinavia, And I don't know why this is flickering. That's maybe my computer. And then it's France, where you can also see it's going up. And here, this is the green thing. That's like population below 10 meters. So the idea here was also to show it's going to be quite a problem for the Netherlands. Well, everyone knows that, but it's still good to show this. And here you have the US, the East Coast, where they're also building a lot of walls and stuff to protect the coast. And last one in this storytelling was Argentina, where you have like the rich and the poor together struggling in this from the sea level rise. Although in this station it's going down, and that's also the difficult part. Sometimes the stations are not like telling the whole truth. It can have measurement problems, and so it was really a difficult data set. That's it about the sea level thing. It was a really long project. It took like 1 year. My fellowship was 2 months, and all the other 10 months I was just working on it for like by passion again, because I thought like it's an important project. I was sometimes quite frustrated because I had like other ideas. I wanted to make it like really good and serious, and not like that's a scandal, but like, yeah, look at it, it's difficult, and the climate is changing, and so, yeah, I was not really happy with the editor-in-chief, but I mean, like, it's part of it. Another project were German elections, like in 2017. I was working as a news developer for a design studio in London, and we had this idea to make like live results of German elections. It's more like the idea, it's some kind of design studio where they create templates and they want to sell this, and so this was more like a marketing thing, like to tell newsrooms, you can use those widgets, and then you have like a live experience for the German elections. That's quite difficult if you're London-based, and everybody thinks, what? You're in London, what do you care about German elections? And then they realize that I speak German, and that changed a little bit. Oh, right, you speak German, so you know what you're talking about. But it's, because it's difficult, I mean, like the Germans, they have a very complicated, not very complicated, but they have a complicated system. Like every country has its own complicated election system, and I'm not German, but Swiss, so I had to read a lot about it and understand it, and then they have like this 2 votes. Yeah, actually it is complicated. Yeah, they have like this 2 votes and stuff, and it took me already a while. Why do they have the 2 votes? I mean, like you vote once, or you vote 4 times a year like Switzerland, but then it's not a thing. So I could gather the data quite easily from the German Statistics Office, and it was in a CSV format. That was really good. The only thing was like it had like double headers, and it also had, yeah, it was, I mean, like it was good, it was a CSV, but it was not really usable. But then the assessing part, I had to clean it, transform it, and then we created a small API out of it that we could access it using these templates. So with that we created an interactive dashboard where we took our API data and put it in these templates, and then we created an election results bar chart. With these ones here, you can filter it out so that you don't have CDU, SPD, whatever, and there you could choose your Bundesland or your constituency. And so like that you had the result, and it was amazing that it really worked. So, because they gave us the sample data to try it out, and then on the election night it really worked. It was fast, and we had these results for the Bundesland when something came up, or for the constituencies. And then, I mean, like, I think like another developer and me, we were like the most excited. Nobody else did, like, because the other newsrooms didn't really take it, but we were so excited that we had more and more constituencies and this drop down, and then we realized it really worked. And the same for the map. So it started to fill in during the night. And so this was you can say the creation, and the presentation was also a little bit tweeting about it, then the publication of these widgets in other newspapers. I think it was a Dutch one because the other developer was Dutch, and also like this dashboard. It was an interesting project, and the good part about this one is because it was like templates and widgets, you can reuse it and reuse it forever and ever. Like the sea level one, you can use it once and you can update it, but that's it. And the last one, that one I created here in Basel, is about bike accidents. Besides like the sea and water, I love bikes. I love riding them. I love like working on them. So I decided I really want to know more about bike accidents in Basel. Where are like the dangerous places where you should watch out? And so then I found this. I was like, wow, cool. So maybe here it's really dangerous. And it already took me a while to even find the legend. It's like just some thing of the official administration, Astra, they're called, for accident prevention. And after finding legend, I realized, okay, I really don't recall it, but I don't know, yellow means this and that, and yeah, sure, you can do it like that, but it's so complicated to find anything. So I thought like, well, that's an easy one. You just take that data and then you visualize it, and then I realized, okay, the web map service, it only gives me back a TIFF, like that's a picture. So I had this picture, well, like maybe smaller, but it's still a picture, so I couldn't really use it at all. Then he told me, yeah, but there's also an API. I said, oh wow, that's awesome. But it's limited to 50 answers. So you can, if you make like a bounding box around Basel, that doesn't really work. So then I thought like, okay, all right, then I just make it like that. So I created a hexagonal map of Basel, and then because it's like, no, not 50 requests, sorry, 50 answers. So I could only get 50 features. And like that, I just had like, I don't know, 100 requests. And then I had all the answers, and then I had all the bike accidents for the past 8 years. And then what I really was interested in, finding the hotspots. And because I'm still a journalist, so I have actually no idea from anything, so I had to ask an expert. Okay, but now how you do that with like bike accidents? You just say like, here are 3 and that's dangerous, or is there a method you can apply? And then he told me, yeah, sure, there is a method, and it's like you make a perimeter, that's English maybe? Yeah, perimeter, around the accident, and then if it's a heavy accident, it counts twice. If it's a light one, it counts once. And then if it's really like this, like all of them really overlapping, then you can say, wow, that's like a hotspot. Here, there's something is happening. We have to investigate on that. But then in the accident 1 is not really part of it. It's too far away from the real hotspot. And I did this analysis using QGIS, and I had also like these buffers, and it was more like manual labor because I had to look at it, and then I decided, I think that's a hotspot. I thought like that was more or less the same method they use, but I don't know. And these are like, these 4 are the official hotspots. And the other ones are my hotspots. So I told them, yeah, sure, I have your 4 hotspots, but what about the others? And he told me, yeah, they're not really hotspots, but yeah, I can see they're dangerous. And I don't know if you know Basel, so like this one here is close to Kunstmuseum. This one here is actually close to Elisabethenkirche. That one here is Heuwaage. That one here is Rollet-Kreisel. That one here is Margaretenstich, where you can go up to that Schellenursley. No, that's, yeah, the thing where you can eat brunch. And I think, yeah, that one is Spanentor. Actually, that's a dangerous place. Oh no, sorry, it's that one. That's Spanentor, and that one is Bundesplatz. Yeah, exactly, Schanzenstraße. That's dangerous. I mean, like, Schanzenstraße is dangerous. And that's Drei Rosenbrücke.
Can I ask you something? The
Sure.
official hotspots, you also got them, or?
Yeah, I also got them. Yeah, for me, they were like really hotspots as well. And then I contacted him because I thought it was really nice with talking to this expert, and then he told me like what's dangerous about my hotspots, or that there is nothing like in common that you can say, well, that's the problem. And out of this, we created an explorable map with filters, and it looked like this. So here you have all the bike accidents, but then you can filter it by severity, accident type, and also days and the time. And you can also see it somewhere. No. So you can just say, well, I'm only interested in the severe accidents on the weekend this year, and maybe only nights. And you can see, well, it's not that dangerous to ride a bike in the night. Everybody tells you that. So it's not that important that you have lights on. So that was my conclusion of this whole work.
What about night tunnels?
Yeah, maybe, but I'm not. Well, it's okay. But maybe if you take all years, then it's a little bit more. Yeah, you should watch out a little bit, but it's not that dangerous. But if you had, like, the data was also interesting. I didn't put that here in this visualization, but it's like a lot of accidents happen on Fridays at 5 o'clock. So you should really watch out on a Friday at 5 o'clock, riding home after work. That's the dangerous situation. Not when you're drunk. Everybody tells you that. And for the presentation, we did again a storytelling, and I also created a making of post, and I published a Jupyter notebook. But well, it's only some basic script. So again, well,
We have questions.
questions. All right.
Where do you publish the making of post?
I published it on Medium.
Yeah.
But
Under your own name, or?
Yeah, under my own name.
Yeah.
Well, I think at Tageswoche that doesn't really have a place. It would be a little bit strange to have some like so nerdy post about data retrieval and Python, and I don't know. We don't really have that readership.
And what's a Jupyter notebook?
That's more or less some where you have all your code, and then you can write something on it. I did this in that cell, and that should work like that. And then you can see that code, and then you can also see the output, like maybe some visual, some graphics or something like that. And the use of it is that you have everything in one place, and you can document it, and yeah. So here you have the accident types. So a lot of accidents happen if you turn, well, Abbiegeunfall, that means like if you turn. That just means that.
Never turn.
And so here we walk the reader through that experience and tell them, well, and here are like the official hotspots. And this one is Bundesplatz, that looks like that, and we also tell them the reason why that accident happened. And then I was like walking through all the official accidents, and then also some of the accidents that we found ourselves. Like here, these ones, and you can see already here that maybe here I was a little bit too much journalist and not that much expert. But I still think here there's something happening, and here he agreed that there is a problem and they're working on it. So maybe that's going to change. And here also there is a problem, and they also realize that there is a problem, but he told me, yeah, but there was a lot of construction work, and actually that's the reason why, or he thinks so many accidents happened there because of the construction work. And also here they are going to change the traffic situation, and yeah, but I think like here it's clearly a hotspot because they're all together. It's not like spread out or anything, and it's the same junction. Yeah, that's it. Back to this. Well, the conclusion for. Oh no, that's the wrong conclusion. I'm sorry. Well, that's true. Actually, readers don't care about the effort, but that's not the right conclusion. The conclusion for this one was more. Of course, reuse projects more extensively, and also that data and design and journalism, it's a good fit. It goes together. In journalism, you have a message, and it's great to have like a more scientific method in journalism as well, to make your stories more accountable. And that's also why I publish my method, and why I do like a making of post to show the people I'm not just making something fake news up or whatever. I'm really true. I give my best at least. And maybe sometimes I do mistakes, but that's like not the big issue here. But it's transparent when I do mistakes. And the other thing is, although it's a good fit, it's not, because newsrooms are so fast. I mean, the bike story took me like 1 month. That's not really a newsroom pace. And then the sea level story I already told you, it's like 1 year. That's not at all a newsroom pace. But then again, Correctiv is a research center, and they're really slow when they take their time, so that's different. But the one for Flourish, that was really something you can use in a newsroom. I mean, like you can create a template, then you can reuse it, and I think that's like also the approach for a newsroom. Create templates, reuse them, maybe create some new fancy templates again, and then reuse them. That's also why it took me a while to create this stuff, because I wanted to create a Mapbox GL map that I can reuse, so that I can have other data and have like this filter thing, and just have to adapt it a little bit, but not like do everything from scratch. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.